Kyle Lowry and the Toronto Raptors have lost 4 of their last 5 in Toronto. They'll look to buck that trend versus the Wizards, who've been knocking off some top-tier teams, Sam. And the Pacers will face the Timberwolves for the second time in 3 days, but this time around, Karl Anthony Towns returns to the lineup for Minnesota after missing the last 14 games with a knee injury. Guys, it's Friday. We got a show to do.
Let's do it.
Hey. Well, if you're in one of those colder areas around the country, we're here to heat things up for you. Welcome to the warm-up presented by Ford. Chris Miles here with former Coach of the Year, Sam Mitchell.
How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing great, and a guy that hit 11 three-pointers in an NBA game. That's how I look at you.
But you know how you do that, though? You got to pass the ball, Chris.
You don't know nothing about that.
You don't know about that.
Selfish point guard.
Come on, man. Pass the ball.
Shoot
All right,
first.
How about this line? Fellas, we start tonight's show with one of the greatest young players the game has ever seen. Luka the Don has earned that distinction in his first 2 years. The Mavericks host the Portland Trailblazers tonight at 9:30 Eastern. Luka has joined some rare company this year already. Luka has 12 25-point triple-doubles this season. Only the other 2 guys on that list have done it quicker in a single season. Luka's 20 triple-doubles before turning 21 are more than double that of LeBron and Magic combined at that age. 3D, Luka turns 21 at the end of February. Has he had the best career for anyone before they turn 21?
Great question. So far, the numbers say
Not saying
so.
best player, but career.
Well, so far, the numbers, challenge that question or give you the thinking that could be the fact. What I want to point out, though, Sam, is that he has checked all the boxes. When you get drafted, how you handle your rookie year, when you go home for the summer, what do you bring back? And he's shown me now his toughness is there. So then, Sam, I had to do some extra research, like, well, why did he slip? Why didn't he go number 1? So
Makes no sense now.
Well, it lets you think about, sometimes we overanalyze guys. Sometimes we look at the tape from guys overseas and say, well, the tape doesn't make sense. It looks too slow. Then you see him in person, you go, wait a minute, maybe my eyes are perceiving me. When you come back your second year and he's putting up the triple-doubles the way he's doing it, he's making everyone around him better. Tim Hardaway, Finney Smith, all those guys around him, Powell, all these guys are playing better basketball when he's on the floor, Sam. So that lets me know they missed the little thing. Lastly, they say, well, he was a little immature. Maybe that's why he slipped. Well, he was only 16, 17 years old playing European basketball, getting
How can
MVP.
he be immature?
Right? So then he rips his jersey the other day, and everyone kind of freaks out a little bit. Social media goes crazy. So I said, if we slipped up because he was 16 or 17 years old, ripping his jersey overseas, and that's why he didn't go number 1, then we missed out.
Well, he's not like a Houston Astros player because they can't rip their jersey.
Allegedly. Allegedly.
Where are you on this, Sam? 21 years young. Is he has the best start to his career at that age?
Yeah, but Chris, we got to start putting this thing in eras, man. I mean, it is unfair to talk about Wilt Chamberlain like he didn't exist. Like, people forget, what would Wilt, in the era in which he played, I would say this, in the past 25 years, yes. Of course, Luka Doncic, look, what he's doing right now is unprecedented. He's playing, look, rebounding, scoring, assists. The thing that blows my mind, to Dennis' point, when you start talking about overanalyzing why he wasn't the number 1 pick, look, I can see if Luka was 6'1",
right,
6'2",
right.
But in today's NBA, you're telling me Paul George and Kawhi Leonard can't play together. That's what you're saying. You're saying LeBron James couldn't play with Dwayne Wade in Miami.
Right.
And that's what you're saying. So at 6'8", this is the thing. Forget the position. He can play multiple. He can play the 1, 2, 3, or the 4.
Do we have positions now?
Yes, basketball today
really
is position. It's about skill.
Who has a skill with the ball in their hand that can make plays for their team and win more ball games?
If your 6'10" guy is your best ISO guy, guess what's going to happen? The coach going to draw up plays to get him ISOs.
So that's one 20-year-old. How about the other 20-year-old rookie in Memphis? First of all, the Grizzlies are currently in a playoff spot. I know we're only halfway through the season.
That's halfway.
They've won 6 straight
Chris,
games.
stop saying that, Chris. Take that out your vocabulary. You had to play the games.
They've won 6 straight. They're a must-watch team.
No question.
Are they a playoff team as well this year, 3D?
As the fourth quarter the other night, the way they handled the Houston Rockets, and obviously to Sam's point, they're an ISO team and less dribbles, less passes. When you play against better teams that have better movement, we'll see if your defense can hold up like you showed me the other night in the fourth quarter. Excuse me. That's the only thing that concerns me with this young team. Offensively, the ball is hopping, they share, they're so unselfish, but sometimes that defense in the fourth quarter, Sam, they give up easy layups, they give up wide open shots, they miscommunicate on one of their rotations. If they can shore that up, they should be able to fight for that 8th spot.
This is what I'm going to say. I'm going to say yes from this standpoint. Right now, they're in the playoffs. I mean, for us to sit here and talk about the teams that are 9 and below, it's ridiculous. Right now, the Memphis Grizzlies are a playoff team. Now, the question is, can they hold on to it? Can they move up? Can they solidify that spot? Look, time is going to tell, but one thing that's dangerous about this Memphis team right now, they're young and they're playing with a lot of confidence. And they don't know that they're supposed to be playing this good this early in the Western Conference. They didn't get the memo. They didn't listen to all this talk, us so-called experts up here saying that they're still 2 years away. Look, confidence is a funny thing. If you got a lot of it, it just permeates throughout your team. And right now, this basketball team is playing with a lot of confidence. And this young man, Ja Morant, is leading that. So do I think they can sustain it to 3D point? Yeah, but they're going to have to start tightening up some defense and tighten up some things. And it's going to get tougher after the All-Star break. But right now, they are a NBA playoff team. And as hard as they play and as competitive as they are, it's going to be hard for someone just to knock them off.
And Chris and Sam, what I enjoyed up close is they have the mixture of, yes, they shoot their amount of threes, and Coach Jenkins is giving them the freedom to play and get out and flourish. But when in doubt, they miss 4 or 5 jump shots. Hey, Valanciunas,
there you go.
Turn 5, get your big butt down low, and we're going to throw it to you.
We need a basket.
Soon as he scored 3 quick baskets, he got double teamed, and they got wide open shots. So Coach Jenkins has figured out a way. It's okay, analytics, shoot more threes. If you're open, that second unit come in with Grayson Allen and all those guys, they're shooting a lot of threes. Dorsey, they're shooting a lot of threes. I'm like, okay, I get it. But when things slowed down, that young man right there, Coach Jenkins said, you know what, analytics, I'm going to throw a little old school basketball back in here and post some guys up.
So 3D, you bring up a great point because you just mentioned Taylor Jenkins. And Sam, you've had a young team in Minnesota when you had Levine, Wiggins, and Towns. To be able to get them to produce like that, I mean, there should be some recognition in what he's accomplishing with this young group now.
I mean, first of all, it's fun to coach a young team. Think about it from this standpoint. You don't have those egos that are set in NBA ways. Now think about that.
Say that again, Sam.
You don't have those egos that are set in NBA way. Right now, when I watch Memphis, name one player during their interview who talks about my team and my guys. Who talks?
None of them.
So right now, if I'm going to give Taylor Jenkins some advice, keep it just like it is. Keep these guys thinking about we, not me, and keep reminding them, this is all of our team. It's not one guy team. And if you want to get specific, it's the owner's team, the ownership group. Other than that, we are all a part of this thing that we're trying to build. And it's not, I cringe sometimes when I hear guys talk about my guys and my this and my that. You know, it's us, it's we. Yeah, you may be the best player on the team, but guess what? I'll tell you this. When I played high school football, we had a running back used to talk about me all the time. The coach told the offensive line, the first play of the game, don't block. By the 3rd time they did it, he came back to the huddle and apologized to each and everybody on that line. Because guess what? We're like this. We need everybody.
Yes.
Okay, in that case, Sam, in case you have any problems with me, I'm sorry. I don't even know what I'm apologizing
I'm just
for.
not
I just
block
don't
for you,
want
no,
you
I'm not
to
gonna
be an
block you.
offensive lineman and leave me hanging like that.
Pass the ball.
Just pass.
Speaking of which, how about Ben Simmons distributing the rock, scoring the rock his last 2 games?
Benji.
22 points a game, 10 rebounds a game.
Who needs to shoot threes
That's
when I
what
did
Benji
just
is.
score?
Keep attacking,
That's what
Benji.
Joel Embiid out.
You don't need no threes, man. Just
You're watching a
back.
warm-up presented by Ford.
Built Ford proud.
Don't forget about the reigning champion Toronto Raptors. They welcome the Washington Wizards north of the border tonight. Well, we would like to welcome in Doug Smith, who covers the Raptors for the Star Tribune and has been doing it since Sam was a head coach in Toronto. How about that?
I've been doing this. Sam was a player.
That's how long I've been
There you
doing
go,
it.
dog.
Well, let's talk about the popularity of this Raptors team. Currently voted, Pascal Siakam voted by fans as an all-star starter. The Raptors third in the league in merchandising sales. To you, is this the most popular the Raptors have been in general for the fan base around the league?
Yeah, there's a hangover from the championship for sure. And frankly, they were really popular when Vince was at the height of insanity in 2000, 2001. But this is constant now. Like this is they sell every ticket they got. They got great TV ratings here in Canada. They had great Christmas Day TV ratings in the States for the Boston game. It's been a very good team for like 4 or 5 years, and I think people are appreciating it and starting to realize that they're not a fluke. It's a very good franchise. It's a staple in the playoffs every year.
And speaking of no fluke, Doug, we knew Kyle would come back and play well, and obviously when we know Siakam got the extension, he was worth it. But a guy like Van Fleet, he's proven us that he's legit. He could possibly be a starting point guard. Is he available tonight? We know he's been banged up. What's his latest of his status?
He's not going to play tonight, Dennis. He's going to play tomorrow night in Minnesota. He's been out 4 games. This will be his 5th tonight with a hamstring. And you're right. He's a legit starting point guard in the NBA. Great three-point shooter. And he just plays smart. Like he gets them organized, and that takes a lot of pressure off Kyle Lowry. And they may be small, but they're tough, and so they can defend. And Nick Nurse uses them together in crunch time of close games all the time, and it's been successful.
Doug, when you look at this Raptors team with the rash of injuries they've had this year and they're still keeping their head above water playing good basketball, I'm starting to think, what is the new ceiling for this team? Because everybody's the foregone conclusion is that the Milwaukee Bucks is going to win the East. But come playoff time, if this Raptors team is healthy, and I saw that lineup Nick had out there with Marc Gasol, Ibaka, OG, Pascal, and Kyle. Will we see that in the playoffs against the Bucks? And do we now think the new ceiling is that the Raptors are going to defend their Eastern Conference Championship?
Well, Sam, they're going to start that same big lineup again tonight. So we're going to see it a lot more in the last half of the year because I think they want to experiment so that when it comes to playoffs and they got to change things up, they're used to what they got to change to. I'm not sure it's sustainable over 40 games, but in a 7-game series against a very big Philadelphia team, against the Milwaukee team that can run out Lopez and Giannis, you want that big lineup to be able to work together. And you're seeing it. I think one thing that people might underestimate with the Raptors, they know how to win. And I think in the postseason, they figure stuff out. And I think they're going to be a really tough out. I've always thought they had as good a chance as anybody to win the East again. And nothing in the first 41 games this year has changed my mind.
Well, certainly seeing how they started the season at 19-8 when they were completely healthy, it's hard to argue against what you just said. But then looking at Masai Ujiri and the deals that he's pulled off in the past, bringing in Kawhi Leonard, as the trade deadline approaches, do you see him possibly making a deal to try to compete for a championship, or do you think he's content with the squad that he has now to try to compete?
I don't think he and Bobby Webster really know what they got because they've been so hurt for so long with so many different guys out. They lost Ibaka and Lowry for 10 games. They lost Siakam, Gasol, and Powell for 11. They've lost Fred now for 5. I don't think they know what they got, and I think that would lead him to stick with what he has. I don't think he's going to spend any money in the 21 summer year. So I don't think there's an ad. I think there might be a trade out there that makes him different. I don't think there's a trade out there that makes him any better. And I think because he wants to see what he has, I would be shocked if he makes any kind of significant move in early February.
And Doug, one last one for you. Is the kid Chris Boucher, am I saying his name right? Is he for real? Is it time for him to grow? Because he's had some moments where, to our conversation coming into this year, I didn't see this coming out of him.
I would love to say yes because he's a great story. Kid came out of nowhere, bounced around, blew a knee out last year at college. I would love to say he's a 20-minute-a-night NBA rotation guy, but I don't think so. I think he's a little bit too skinny. I think he's a little bit too, I don't know if absent-minded is the right word, but I don't think his attention to defensive detail is where you need it to be to win a championship. But he's an intriguing player, and if he's your 4th or 5th big man, you're okay. But I'm not sure he's a 20-minute-a-night guy.
Good stuff.
All right, Doug Smith, make sure that Sam doesn't bother you anymore next time you see him. I know you got his voice in your head for the last 20 years.
Hey, Doug,
Trust me.
this coming
I know
from
how that
somebody
works.
who has no friends, okay? And don't know how to form relationships that endure, okay? So just
tell
consider the source.
All right, Doug,
missed you
thanks
up
for
here,
stopping by
pal.
to
We
warm
missed
up. Don't let him get to you, Doug. Don't let him get
My
to you.
pleasure.
Oh, I'm sorry. He does have a friend now. You had a child, so she might like you until she starts talking, and then you better stop talking so much.
How about this, Sam? Let's get back to business and looking at the Raptors and the fact that over
You're
the
gonna
last
leave me alone. I keep telling you that. Now we can go.
I'm a bully to bully. No, over the last 9 games, they've alternated wins, haven't won consecutive games in almost a month. And when you look at Toronto, what they've been over the past 5 or 6 years as far as their consistency, do you view that as just, look, they're struggling with injuries and trying to figure out who they are, or is there something else we're not seeing?
Think about this, man. They are 2 games in the loss column back of being the number 2 seed. So with all that they've been through, look at all the players they've lost. Look at all the injuries they've had. Look how many times Nick Nurse has had to juggle that lineup. I remember early in the season when I was up there doing games, he was only playing 8 guys because he didn't want to play the bench. He didn't have any confidence in them. And then as the injuries started to amount, someone asked him about the bench again, and he said, guess what? I guess I'm going to have to learn how to start liking the bench. So when you look at the maturation of this team, and Doug said one thing, 3D, that sticks with me. They are tough. When you watch them, when you know these players, Kyle and Pascal and OG and Mark, sir, they are tough-minded players, and they don't give in. It will not surprise me, one, if they finish 2, and once they get healthy with that big lineup, and then they're able to go big and small. Because think about this, Chris. When you put Serge Ibaka at the 5, and you go Pascal and OG and Kyle and Fred, some people would think you're small, but your front line is almost 6'10" across and long.
Yeah.
So they can come at you in multiple ways, and the fact that they're a veteran team that won a championship, man, they're going to be, no one's going to want to play them. And my prediction is, I don't know who they'll play. I would imagine Milwaukee, but we may see a matchup of Milwaukee-Toronto again.
3D, Sam said something very interesting there in the sense of we always focus on stars on teams and the best players, but he said guys that know how to win. I mean, this is still the reigning championship team, sans Kawhi Leonard, but how crucial is that for this group that they know that they can win together?
Remember when Detroit won their championship, everyone's like, there's no real superstar. They have 5 guys that
2004.
they played together, played the right way, they defended. To Sam's point, Nick Nurse's point, they are tough. They're going to play the defense. I think most people question who's going to be that closer for them, who's going to be that guy we say when things go bad, we can give the ball to him. Well, I think Siakam's kind of answered that question now, and I think the fans have answered that
But
question
think about
as well.
this, really. If they win it this year without a so-called superstar, it's going to upset the entire NBA because guess what? GM's a copycat league. They're going to be sitting back saying,
yes,
I
let's
just
build a
need 5
team.
good players. Let's
You gotta
build
build
a
a
team. Instead, in the
team.
past, it's
And
been,
you will
let me
find-
go get a superstar and build around it.
And that's why Masai and other GMs aren't always copycats. Yes, you need a superstar. Yes, you took the chance on Kawhi and you won. You got your ring, and now everyone says, wait a minute.
They got
maybe
superstar. They developed one.
They developed
Developed
one.
your own.
There you go.
Yeah, I was going to say, Pascal
In-house.
Siakam currently voted as an all-star starter.
Developed
I'm not
homegrown.
done. I'm not done. That's why I asked Doug the question, too, because sometimes, once again, when you're up in Toronto, you're not one of those so-called, once again, sexy markets. You don't get a chance to look at Van Fleet very closely and see how good he is. So then I started asking players.
Freddie getting ready to get
No
paid,
disrespect
3D.
to all of our great writers.
Freddie
but-
getting ready to get paid.
Listen to me. I said no disrespect to none of our writers at all. I want to talk to a player. Hey, Russell, how good is Van Fleet? Hey, Chris Paul, how good is Van? Because those are the guys that have to try to stop him every night. So when the players tell me Fred Van Fleet's good, check, he's good, and that's why Doug
getting ready
Smith
to
just
get paid.
confirmed. Yes,
Freddie
indeed
getting
he
ready
is.
to get paid.
Yes, indeed.
You know who else might check that box if we decided to take a survey around the
Who's
league? Domantas Sabonis. At least the
Check.
Timberwolves would
I
say
asked the
so.
players again. Another one. Check.
29 points on Wednesday night against them, but Carl Anthony
He's got
Towns
paid, though.
making his
He got the big
return.
cat to deal with tonight
For Minnesota
now.
after
He's
missing the
got
last
the big
14
cat
games.
to deal with.
And if it wasn't for what Martin Luther King stood for, then obviously we wouldn't have the game we have today and the diversity that we have today.
I'm a firm believer in the connectivity of all humans, that we all have to look out for each other, be kind and be good to each other. And there's really no greater example of that than being on a team and having to cooperate and work together and strive towards a common goal.
When the person to the right of you sees that you have their best interest and you're sacrificing something to help them, and that might encourage them to do the same thing, and then, you know, it just continues to go on and on.
Well, MLK Day is also one of the busiest in the NBA. 14 games. We have you covered on our networks. It starts at 2:30 with a matinee on NBA TV. Get to see Trae Young. The Atlanta Hawks take on the Toronto Raptors. And then, of course, Ja Morant. We've talked about him a little
I'll
bit.
be there, baby. Come on, yeah.
And then the Lakers, Celtics, one of the greatest rivalries in
No
sports
question
history.
about that.
That's at 7:30. Blazers and Warriors at 10. You guys ready for a little story time with the big fella?
Let's do
Let's
it.
do it.
Let's watch.
And I know you like, you know, stylish items. Is there a uniform?
Hey, man, you scared me. Don't be walking up behind me like that.
You talked about the old school guys you like to talk to them. When I put up this Wilt Chamberlain card,
I'm mad because I wanted to pass him up in points. When I hear a conversation about myself, I only want to hear one name.
The big Aristotle.
Superman.
The Diesel.
Big Cactus. Most dominant ever.
dominant, MDE.
Now, if I would have passed him up, I would have arrogantly said Shaquille O'Neal's the most dominant player ever. Don't ever ask me the question again. Yeah, I got more rings than him, but he got more 50-point games, he got more rebounds, and he has more points.
Was there ever any interaction between you two while he was still living?
When I first came into the league, I did a Reebok commercial. I brought him, Bill Russell, Bill Walton, and Kareem. Here's a commercial right here. Check it out.
Password. Don't fake the funk on a nasty dunk.
It was me paying homage, showing respect. I saw him one time in LA, and this is no lie. We had a restaurant. I'm here. Wilt's right there. No hi, no you suck, no anything.
Didn't acknowledge you at all.
No. So unlike these guys that get upset when I go at them, I took it to myself and said, okay, he don't know who I am yet. The greats don't recognize me yet. I must not be great. And if you don't think I'm great, I got work to do. It's a pecking order thing. It's a respect thing. Now, after all that, when you go in the Staples Center and you see my name up there, it's well deserved. Those guys paved the way for me. I will never disrespect them, even if they don't talk to me, even if they don't like me. I will never say anything disrespectful.
That's not enough. Oh, this must be a rookie thing or something.
Isaiah Thomas, Dominique Wilkins, Nick and Zeke, two players that are close to you. We'll start with Zeke.
Mentor in business. I would do silly things. I get a call from nowhere. Big fella, the league gonna be yours in a couple years. You gotta do this. You don't want your mama seeing that. And I respected that. It was just a beautiful thing, something nobody else ever did. When you're talking about pecking order and pecking order status, when Isaiah Thomas call you and tell you something, listen.
You have to care about one another. You have to love one another.
See, a lot of these guys' egos are too big because they think they're that good, but you're not really that good. See, they think it's hating. But I always question, how can we hate when we've done something you ain't done yet? It don't make sense. I'm giving you advice. I'm telling you what to do. So I've always loved Isaiah for that. Dominique taught me how to score. We was playing one day. He had 40. He had an easy 40, and I had 40, but it was a tough 40. So he came and he said, big fella, you try to get your points too early. You got to pace yourself. I was like, what do you mean pace yourself? He said, how many you want to average? I was like 28, 30, 7 points a quarter, big dog. And that's where I get that from.
7 points
Because I used to try to
quarter.
come in and get 30 in the first quarter. And second quarter.
Be worn out.
Yeah, and then get it. Like,
Yeah.
He said, nah, man, 7 points a quarter. So I 3 jump hooks, free throw. Oh, there go my boy D. Scott in the corner. See what he gonna do, right? While I'm resting. And then, you let the other guys eat.
So before we get up out of here, a couple of hairstyles. I know we all part of the Ball Brotherhood, but if you had
The BBH, I like that.
BBH, you like that? You like-
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
you got a choice between Michael Cage and the legendary Jerry Curl, Kelly Tripucka and the legendary Super Mullet, Artist Gilmore and the Super Fro.
Super fro, probably not. Too big for that. I'm gonna probably go with this tight curl because I already got a beautiful face and I already got this. So you add that curl to it, boy, I'm gonna be a sexsymbol.com.
Just let yourself
Soul Glow.
Shaq out there looking like
let
Sam.
yourself-
Look just
Hey, man, let
like
me
it,
tell you
Sam.
something. Hey, man, can I throw things at this dude on the set, man?
Hey,
on, man. Look at this.
Look, you're so
Natural.
going down,
Natural.
man.
Stop hating, Chris, because you got the bald spots. You got that little color in your hair and stuff, man. Come on, don't hate. Don't hate because I'm at my age. I got all my hair. Technically.
Well, I remember you with the hot top fade. That's how I remember you. That's how I always know you as.
I know I'm frolically challenged right now. It's all good.
3D, don't worry about it.
Can we have a conversation
It's
about
just
greatness,
our
though?
brain works so hard. We lose a little hair, that's all.
That's it.
Well, look, one more thing I want to say about Shaq before we go. We had the conversation about guys under 21. Shaq's rookie season at 20 years old, 23 points a game, 9 rebounds a game, and 3.5 blocks.
And unguardable.
Didn't he have
So when-
and he had a 2020
He
2020.
did
I think
indeed.
his 10 was blocks instead of assists, of course. So yeah, I mean, obviously I enjoyed that time playing with him, but to hear him talk now, retired, is how much he still respects the game in his elders when he was young too. So it's just fun to listen
He says
to.
pecking order, man. It's when
fun.
we
It's
come in
real.
this building, it depends on who's in this building. We all played and coached in the NBA, but there is a pecking order based on who you are. So when Chuck, Shaq, people like that walk in this building, we get in respect because they earned it. When Gary Payton walks through the door,
Hall of Famer.
he's earned
Hall of Famer.
our respect as his peers because he's accomplished some things that we didn't accomplish. So we respect that because we know how hard it is and the sacrifice that you have to make to do it.
Yeah, Sam, so just know that on that pecking order, I'm not even on that chart. How about that? Can we do that, my friend?
Well, how did this
Coach of the
become about
year.
him, man? Look, we're talking about all-stars and superstars. We ain't talking about no beginners. I mean, come on, player.
Hey, Sam.
I mean, the fact that you throw yourself in there with Gary Payton, Shaquille O'Neal, and Charles Barkley, I like to try.
Hey, look, Sam, it's your hair. Your hair is
So
next,
let your
Sam.
soul go.
Your hair is
Hey,
next.
Shaq, they just jealous, big fella, because we can do multiple hairstyles.
Lordy.
Woo! We can
I
do
gotta take a
multiple
picture of that
hairstyles.
one. I gotta take a
Look,
picture of that.
when do you see the ball side? Here goes the back of my head. You see it? You see it?
There
Sam
he
Gilgeous
is, Shane.
Alexander. I got next, I got now, one of the most improved
Next
players
week,
in the
my hair
league.
gonna be like that.
There's no way, Sam. That ain't coming
There's
back.
wigs and weave, Chris.
You sound like
that it's just probably a telltale sign of the career that I've had. You know, some of the moves that I made individually, and then as well as coming to different environments and organizations. You know, at the end of the day, I always say it's an entertainment league. You know, we're very drama filled. Everything regurgitates on all these media platforms, which is part of our society. I can't really do anything about it, except really be, a pillar in our locker room, be very communicative, and when I'm out there with the guys, just impact winning. That's really what it comes down to. It's not like I'm a asshole yelling at everybody in the friggin' locker room all the time, and you hear all these stories, At the end of the day, my name, it was given to me by my grandfather. I'm very grateful, but it's in a lot of people's mouths all the time, and it is what it is. I've earned that respect in terms of how great I am as a player, and there's still more goals I want to accomplish in this league, and I can't do it without improving an organization and winning a championship, and that's what it comes down to. So I'm going to continue to push. I'm going to continue to demand greatness out of myself and demand greatness out of my teammates, and we go from there. If it's harsh as a leader or it's too much for anybody, you're not in our locker room, stay the fuck out. It's as simple as that.
Hey, man, we better go.
All right, now this segment's
we
called
better
Give
go
and
get
Go.
the
We supposed to have
defibrillator, man, 'cause
24
somebody's
seconds
about to
on
have
the
a-
clock.
Fred G. Savage, you about to have a heart
He's having a
attack.
heart attack.
Elizabeth,
Fred G.
Daddy, I'm coming to see you. I'm so great. There's nobody ever shoot a three-pointer ever better than me ever. I had a step. I don't care who it is. I'm the best shooter to ever shoot a basketball. Oh, I'm sorry. We're back on
3D,
one.
what's wrong, man? What's
You're
wrong?
supposed to have
3D?
24
my
seconds.
bad, my
The
bad.
clock starts.
Oh, my bad.
What's
I'm sorry.
wrong, man?
I
He's
thought-
just great, man.
Was
What's wrong?
I taking a nap over there?
No, man, you wasn't. You heard
He
it
just
correct.
said
That was
that?
real life. That was
You just said
today.
that?
That was after the other day what he said.
Wow. Okay.
I don't look. And you know this, rare for me. I am
Oh, here we go.
speechless.
All right, go ahead.
I am
We're on the clock.
Whoa.
We're on the
You
clock.
are what?
You're
I'm
speechless?
speechless.
Well, let me go. First of all, Kyrie, I like you said, we do respect you as a player. We respect what you've done and on the court. Off the court, some of these things you're saying right now, I can't lie, I don't agree with. I know what you're saying. You're trying to be the best teammate in the locker room. We know things didn't go well in Boston. You're right.
All I'm gonna say is, just play ball, man.
Yeah, oh,
just
man.
let the results and how you play. You start winning basketball games the way the Nets should, and you play up to your potential. Everything will be fine. Let your play do your talking for you,
Yeah.
and let the results speak for themselves.
Remember, Kyrie, this was a playoff team last year before you got there. Be the all-star, be the Olympian we know you can be. Go out there and play great basketball. Well, you know KD's coming next year. Stop it.
Kyrie has played a third of the season, and the Nets are currently in the 8th spot in the East. Okay, how about Zion Williamson coming back next Wednesday against the Spurs? And we heard Alvin Gentry say it. There will be no minutes restriction on Zion Williamson. Okay, what are your expectations?
What they mean by that, and Sam understands this for this young man, if he's ready to play, let him play. Now, obviously, he's not going to be in basketball shape after missing all those months. So that's when they say spurts. So when he goes out there for 4, 5, 6, 7 minutes, he looks good, he comes out, get a good rest. How you feel? I feel good. Get back in the ball game versus, all right, play 2 minutes, sit down, and say, oh, he's at 17 minutes, sit him down. No, this boy's too young, let him go.
He's going to be on the minute restrictions because he's not in shape. Dude, you don't sit and miss this many games and then have had knee problems and get in condition. How do you get in shape? You have to run playing basketball. I expect to see him 3D in 3-4 minute spurts because people don't understand. To play 7 or 8 straight minutes in an NBA game is hard when you're in shape to play at the level in which you need to win. So I'm going to say 3-4 minute spurts, but watch out because of the 3 or 4 minutes when he goes, he's going to go hard.
Yeah.
He's going to show you something in those 4 minutes.
And Brandon Ingram certainly showing us something right now. 49 points the other night and a game winner. So
you know what make Brandon Ingram even better? Our health is out.
Oh, my goodness. Everybody's going to get better.
How about this, Sam? So the team that Brandon Ingram used to play for, the LA Lakers, they kept Kyle Kuzma, and now there seems to be speculation as should they make a trade? What do you say on that?
No. First of all, at $1.9 million, you're not going to get the value back as far as the type of player Kyle Kuzma is. Think about something. He's 6'10", can shoot the 3, and play multiple positions. No, I just think the money that Kyle Kuzma making and what you're going to get in return, unless you package a bunch of those veterans with him, I don't see a package you can put together that includes Kyle Kuzma that's going to get you a better player than what he is right now.
Just in general, do the Lakers need to make a trade?
Do not make a trade. Kyle Kuzma, just go ahead and, get rid of the blind stuff out your head. Get the Hollywood done. Let's go back to playing basketball. That's it. That's all I got.
Best record in the West. They had won 9 straight games before they lost. They had a 10-game win streak earlier in the season.
LeBron's that good.
Yeah.
And for all the naysayers, forget about comparing the past and the present because LeBron is that good. AD's missed games. Kyle Kuzma's been up and down. Rondo's been up and down. No, LeBron, keep showing us why great you are.
How about the Utah Jazz? Jordan Clarkson, undefeated as a member of their team.
Yeah.
So, are they a title contender? Until last night when they lost to the Pelicans on that
I'm not ready to say title contender yet, but I like what I see bringing in Clarkson. But once again, when Mike Conley comes back, it's going to let me know is everything I'm reading for real saying because we know he's the perfect professional. He's told everybody, more important as a coach. If I told you, coach, if you want me to come off the bench for us to win a championship, I'm going to come off the bench.
He's going to be coming off the bench. Listen to what you just said. They haven't lost a game since Jordan Clarkson got there.
Just until last night.
Exactly. So you look at this Jazz team, and to 3D's point, once Mike Conley comes back and figures out how to play with this group, and you start looking at that second unit, and you add Mike Conley and Clarkson to that second unit, now you got something because what's been the biggest problem the Jazz have always had? Scoring. Now they're going to be able to. Now their starting lineup is going to be potent. And now with Mike Conley Jr. coming off the bench with Clarkson, hey, man, the potential's there.
So now that the Memphis Grizzlies have gone on their 6-game winning streak, they're ahead of the San Antonio Spurs for that final playoff spot. So the Spurs, we know they've been to the postseason 22 straight years. Does that streak end this season?
I'm going to say no. I'm going to say Pop's going to figure out a way because now whatever DeMar DeRozan was going through, I thought he might have been pouting a little bit because saying he wanted the extension, he didn't get it. So I thought he was in a funk for about a month or so.
He was.
Now he's coming out that funk and saying, you know what? There's 29 other teams out there, so let me get back to doing what I do.
Who was he hurt by being in a funk?
Come on, himself.
Thank you.
So I say, lately he's gotten back to himself. The rest of y'all threes, yes, I love the three. He's getting back to being the mid-range assassin and letting everybody know how good he is.
Chris, you know Pop, one of my favorites, not just coaches, but people. For the things that he's standing up for, not just in basketball, but in society, period. But that being said, why? If your goal is to be the 8th seed, unless you think in a 7-game series you can upset the Los Angeles Lakers, which I don't think gonna happen. To me, look, I'll say this. How did Memphis get Ja Morant? By not making the playoffs. So guess what? The San Antonios have proved when they draft their players and you bring them through their system, This is the first time they went out and acquired
Different
all-star guys.
Right.
They've always developed their all-stars.
Right.
When they get back in the draft and start selecting players and developing them, San Antonio would be back and a lot quicker than what people think.
Sam, is your hearing working? Do you hear that?
Yeah, I heard the first 3 times that we were doing that.
That means you're supposed to stop talking, Sam.
Well, guess what?
Okay, we have rules to this game.
Okay, I agree, but 3D was talking past 20. I was talking past 20. So now I'm starting to feel like I'm being singled out. Is
Sam,
it that you like
that's
3D more than you like me?
That's because you went
I can
over all
handle
this
it.
time,
I'm
Sam.
a big boy. I can handle it. I just need to know what I'm dealing with when I come to work. That's all.
Sam, you took 3D's
That's all.
time.
3D.
Okay, and I'm
I
trying
just
to
need
get
to
it
know.
back to our show.
I just need to know what I'm dealing with. Who are my friends and who are the people that I just work with? Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, man. Well, we have time to talk a little Bam Adebayo, the Miami Heat, and the Thunder. Remember all those trade rumors about Chris Paul? As soon as he arrived in OKC, like, oh, he's going to get shipped to Miami. Both teams playing well. We'll discuss that next in the warm-up presented by... So Karl Anthony Towns returning to the lineup after missing the last 15 games with a knee injury. So if you're getting your fantasy lineups together, make sure you consider that. Let's bring in Tim Doyle to help us with ours. All right, Doyle, we know how great you are with the budget. You had it at exactly $60,000 on Wednesday, but now we have a good question for you. Luka Doncic going to cost you about $11 grand. Trae Young, 10-4. So who's the better investment?
Yeah, some would say flip of the coin, but I would disagree with them because I think Luka Doncic is the better investment because he has better players around him. Now, I still think it's going to be a conversation as far as who's going to be the better overall pro, but Luka has guys like Hardaway, like Porzingis. Curry comes in, makes shots. Powell's been great this year. Like, when you look at Trae Young, like, he's asked to do so much, and everybody is gunning at him from a defensive standpoint. I mean, what did Luka do against the Kings? I mean, he got silly.
Damian
25
Lillard
points, 15 rebounds, 17 assists. Chris, that was the second half of a back-to-back. Aren't you supposed to be tired? I think either one of these guys you could build a case for. I just think Doncic has better players around him, making the game easier for him.
I mean, that's hard to disagree with, especially when you look at the Mavericks record out west and you look at the Hawks record in the east. So let's talk about the Kings of the North, the Toronto Raptors. They're facing a team that since winter has come, the Washington Wizards have been King Slayers. Hope you're a Game of Thrones fan. A lot of references in there. So who do you like from this game?
You know, if I could just put like the drool emoji on this game, I mean, whenever the Wizards are playing, don't you just want to gun for them? Because they're number one in the NBA in points allowed, almost 120 points a game. So 2 guys on the Raptors that stand out to me, Pascal Siakam, welcome back, and Norman Powell. Now, I think they're watching Siakam's minutes as far as, you know, they're not rolling him out there 36, 37 minutes a game. But once he starts getting those minutes, he's been providing big punch, and then Powell's been great over his last 2 games since returning to the lineup. When you play Powell, you need him to go out there and get 20-plus points. With a guy like Siakam, you know he's going to block some shots. You know he can have a handful of steals. And now that his scoring has jumped to where he's getting you nearly 25 points a game, when you look at the Wizards, I love a squad like this to play on or to play against because they want to go up and down. Every coach says we're going to play fast. We're going to get out in transition. Well, I'll say this. Washington, they do both of those things. The other thing they don't do, they don't guard anybody.
Well, it sounds like you plan on stacking some Raptors. Any other teams that are worth stacking tonight?
Well, I'm going to pinpoint this game, and I'm going to look at the Cavaliers and the Grizzlies really for 2 different reasons. First of all, Memphis is playing outstanding, and they are spearheaded by 2 20-year-olds. Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. have been outstanding. Now, a little bit boom or bust with them because, you know, Ja's minutes are under 30, and Jaren can't stop fouling people. I mean, he's number 1 in the NBA in fouls per game. Ja was out of this world against the Rockets. That was a game that I called. He was doing everything right, barely missed a shot, finding his teammates. Both these guys are the future. And on the flip side, I got 2 different motivations here. One, Kevin Love didn't play last out, so he's got fresh legs, and he's been really consistent all season. And on the flip side, Tristan Thompson, he didn't score. when you come off a zero burger in your last game, you know you're going to be motivated. This is a game that I see being a high possession game during this win streak for the Grizzlies of 6 in a row. They're averaging nearly 130 points a game, so they like to get up and down, and Thompson and Love are so reliable on the backboards. But as far as that 8th spot, Chris, Memphis would be in the playoffs at the end of the day. I'm not so sure.
Oh, you're not sold on Memphis just yet. But like you said, you called the Grizzlies and Rockets game.
I think there's better teams at 8 than them. I think there's more talent there, but they're on a great roll right now.
Yeah, a lot of teams stacked out west, including the Spurs trying to keep their streak alive in 23 straight years in the postseason. But let's focus on that game you called, the Houston Rockets, a team that, man, James Harden, 13 points against the Blazers on just 12 shots. He's been struggling a bit. What is your take on the Rockets right now in the fantasy value?
Yeah, after diving into that game, because I got a chance to call it, I think it becomes a no-brainer. And maybe this isn't, that intelligent, but when Westbrook doesn't play, Harden becomes must-play because he's going to shoot the ball almost 40 times. I mean, the last 2 games without Westbrook, he's approaching that number, Chris. And we're talking about almost shooting 23. So I think he's really difficult to handicap when Westbrook is out there. Like, Westbrook sat against the Grizzlies, played against the Blazers, and you saw his production go way down. Harden's did. So he is a really difficult guy, and I always feel like I look at him because D'Antoni's going to play the same way. If you're his point guard, if I'm his point guard, if Harden's his point guard, like, he's so consistent with his system that James becomes a guy that's always tough to handicap when Westbrook is out there. But when Westbrook is not out there, KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. You got to play Harden.
Yeah, you mentioned those D'Antoni point guards. The 2 I always point to most, Raymond Felton, when he had him, he put up ridiculous numbers. And Jeremy Lin, people forget Mike D'Antoni part of that. So, all right, Doyle, thanks for stopping by the warm-up. Always good to have you. Great to see you in the no-tie fly zone. And look at your starting lineup, man. I mean, Luka Doncic, clearly you went that route. Kevin Huerter, Norman Powell. I mean, it seems like a very balanced attack.
Well, for the T-Wolves, I think Culver and Napier, their usage is going to be up because no more Jeff Teague. Powell, I think, is a great bargain. Huerter's finally playing more minutes. And then I always play Kevin Love when I can because he has gray hair like me. And if you're out there still balling with gray hair, Chris, I got a lot of respect for you.
I wonder if you grew a beard and you went out, because I know you're 6'5", people are like, oh, look, there's Kevin Love. There you go.
You want to know something? You just made my whole weekend. Do not even send me a paycheck for this segment because you just made my whole weekend.
Well, if the bosses are listening, send me Doyle's paycheck. How about that? Double up for me. All right, Doyle, thanks for stopping by.
You got it, Chris.
Well, you won't see Jimmy Butler amongst league leaders when you're looking for wins, though. The Heat have the second most in the East with 28. They're in OKC tonight. You're watching the warm-up presented by Ford. Thank
you for making me feel good about that 2-hour break.
I think Sekou and Stan are on that. Happy birthday, Dwayne Wade. How about that?
I want to say happy birthday to my baby sister, Maria, who lives in Columbus, Georgia.
Sam, is that a picture of your baby sister?
Her 53rd birthday. Happy birthday, little sister.
She might be mad at you telling her age, though.
That's okay. She's still alive, right? Hey, happy 53rd birthday from your big brother. I love you.
It's a great birthday to have to share with D-Wade. That's pretty.
Happy birthday, D-Wade.
Yeah,
same birthday as my sister.
Like he says, it's a heck of a script, a heck of a career. Now he's turning over, doing TV now with us here at TNT and Turner Sports. So it's going to be fun to see his next step.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
See if he's as funny as you, Sam. That's going to take a lot of work to get there, man.
Oh, my goodness. Chris, you know what, Chris? I'm not funny.
I told you guys we were going to warm it up.
I'm
Be
not
like
funny. We just
Sam.
laugh
Let
at
your
you.
soul glow. Let your